down. I don't like disorder in my room. Clean it up, Tay.
Sit, yo.
This is my class, Rodriguez.
Just somewhere else.
Thank you.
You me, and you will suffer my wrath.
The story begins with Jonathan Shale, a highly trained mercenary and former military operative, withdrawing from a mission along with his elite team. They complete the mission successfully, but not long after, they discover something troubling. The operation they carried out was actually unauthorized. This comes as a shock, and as a result of this revelation, they are all dismissed from active duty. With no mission left and no orders to follow, the team members go their separate ways. Shale, now without a job, decides to head back home to Miami to rest and figure out his next steps.
Just wait. Something will come along.
The scene shifts to the sunny and vibrant city of Miami. The camera slowly zooms in on Jane Hetzko, a passionate and caring high school teacher. Jane is in the middle of conducting a class, fully engaged with her students and dedicated to helping them learn. But the peaceful classroom setting is quickly shattered when chaos erupts on the school campus. A brutal fight breaks out among the students, and it soon becomes clear that this isn't a random scuffle. The entire scene looks like it was planned in advance to target one particular student. Jane and another teacher named Mr. Sherman rush in to stop the ambush. Despite the danger, they manage to break up the fight and protect the student under attack. Surprisingly, the student they saved claims he didn't need any help. It's obvious that he's trying to protect himself from the consequences of being labeled weak. After the fight, Jane tries to talk to the student responsible for starting it all, Juan Lacas. Juan is no ordinary troublemaker. He is the feared leader of a gang called the Kings of Destruction, or KOD for short. With a firm but kind tone, Jane tries to reach out to him. She speaks like a concerned mother, encouraging him to think about his future and make better choices. With a firm but kind tone, Jane tries to reach out to him. She speaks like a concerned mother, encouraging him to think about his future and make better choices.
I need you to look at me for 2 minutes, Juan.
But Juan doesn't care. He looks at her with cold eyes, mocks her, and threatens her with a warning to stay out of his business. Then he walks off, making it clear that he has no intention of listening. Still shaken but determined, Jane and Mr. Sherman went straight to Principal Claude Rolle to report what happened. They urged the principal to take action against Juan and the gang, especially after Jane shares that she was directly threatened.
You mean he didn't say he was going to stab me with a kitchen knife at 4:15 p.m.? No, he didn't say that.
But Rolle dismisses their concerns, saying there's not enough solid proof to expel Juan. Jane becomes visibly angry and storms out of the office, telling the principal that she'll get the evidence he needs. When Jane arrives at her car after school, she finds herself surrounded by members of the KOD gang. The car's keyhole is taped shut with what looks like gum, making it difficult for her to get in. The gang members taunt and harass her, laughing and throwing insults as she struggles with her keys. Juan makes a hand sign toward her, but Jane refuses to be intimidated. She boldly throws the same sign back at him, but reversed as a form of defiance. Finally, she manages to open her car door and drives away, all while the gang continues to yell offensive comments behind her.
See you later, Hetzko. We'll drop by the house.
When Jane gets home, she is relieved to find Shale there waiting for her. She runs into his arms, both happy and comforted to see him after a long time apart. Shale explains to her that he has been discharged from his military duties. They laugh and talk about the future, wondering what he'll do now that he's no longer in service. Not long after, Shale receives a voicemail from one of his old teammates. There's a possible job offer that could help him earn some money. They meet at a strip club to talk about it. Joey, one of his trusted teammates, urges him to consider the opportunity. They introduce Shale to the client and to a competitor named John Janus. Janus will later turn out to be a dangerous man who tries to kill Shale. Shale quickly learns that the job involves guarding drug shipments and keeping them safe from rival gangs and government interference. This kind of work doesn't sit well with Shale. He's a man of principles and refuses to be part of anything illegal.
We're looking for trained soldiers. We can guarantee the shipments.
So what you're looking for is a crew to protect your drug shipments.
He turns the job down by proving that a killer is different from a soldier by his mercilessness. Thus, Janus takes the offer instead. The following morning, Jane decides to go jogging near the beach. She doesn't know that someone from the KOD gang is waiting for her. As she runs past him, he suddenly strikes her, breaking her knee and launching a vicious attack. Thankfully, Shale is close by. He hears the commotion and runs to her rescue, managing to scare the attacker off. He quickly takes Jane to the hospital for treatment. While recovering, Jane shares her suspicions with Shale. She believes the attack was planned and likely involved someone from the school. She begs Shale to do something about her absence in school for the next couple of days and asks him to make some calls for her. Seeing how deeply hurt and scared she is, Shale promises that he won't let anything happen to her. And whoever has done this won't get away with what they've done. He left her to rest and decided to go undercover and teach in her place, determined to find out who is behind everything and bring them to justice. Shale starts preparing for his new mission. He and his team create a plan to infiltrate the school. To hide his identity and connection to Jane, he adopts a new name, James Smith. Using this alias, he submits a job application to the school and soon gets invited for an interview.
How you doing, Rolanda? Great.
My name's Smith. I'm her substitute.
Claude Rolle. I'm the principal.
During the interview, Principal Rolle seems friendly and welcoming. He tells Mr. Smith that he will be on probation for a short period. Smith assures the principal that he will do his best to fill in for Jane. Although he appears calm and professional, Smith is focused on his hidden goal: to find the people responsible for Jane's attack and expose any corruption within the school. On his first day of teaching, Smith walks into a classroom full of disrespectful and chaotic students. The room is noisy and completely disorganized, but Smith doesn't let it shake him.
Good morning, class. I will be Miss Hetzko's substitute for the next few days.
He calmly walks to the front of the class and starts taking attendance. As he observes the students, he begins to understand the problems within the school. Many of the students don't care about learning, and discipline is nowhere to be found. Later, in the staff lounge, Smith meets Mr. Sherman again and is introduced to the school librarian, Hannah Dillon. They have a brief but important conversation. Sherman explains how dangerous the KOD gang is and how they've taken control of the school through fear. Hannah adds that she believes the gang might be behind Jane's attack.
Juan Lacas?
Yeah, he's the leader of the KOD.
She even hints that Principal Rolle may be working with the gang, although Sherman defends Rolle, saying he used to be a police officer and wouldn't do such things. Still, despite Sherman's defense, Smith becomes suspicious of Rolle. During a private talk with the principal, Smith notices some unusual things, like the expensive gold watch Rolle is wearing, which doesn't match the salary of a school principal. Their conversation becomes a quiet battle of intelligence. Each man tries to test the other, throwing out careful comments to see how the other reacts. By the end, Smith comments if Claude ain't afraid to wear that watch around here, but Claude makes his point by demonstrating how he established dominance over the students.
This watch was a gift from the Junior League. Anyone trying to take this watch is going to have to take this on. Give a little demonstration.
The meeting ends with Rolle hinting that power is more important than justice, which only deepens Smith's doubt. That night, Smith reconnects with his military team and outlines a new plan to secretly observe the school. They will install cameras and watch the movements of KOD members to gather real evidence. Some members of the team are hesitant at first, but eventually, most of them agree to help. The next day in class, Smith begins a lesson on the Vietnam War. As he turns his back to write on the board, a student named Tay throws a crushed soda can at him. With lightning-fast reflexes, Smith catches the can in midair and throws it back, hitting Tay right on the forehead. The students are stunned. Tay gets up, ready to fight with his classmates cheering him on, but Smith easily defends himself. He twists Tay's arm and pins him down without using excessive force. Then, Smith walks up to another student named Rodriguez. Earlier, he had noticed Rodriguez carrying a sharp ice pick. He calmly asks him to hand it over. When Rodriguez refuses, Smith grabs his hand and twists his finger just enough to make him drop the weapon. This sends a clear message to the rest of the class. He's not a teacher to mess with. From that moment on, the classroom becomes silent.
You with me, and you will suffer my wrath.
Smith takes control and begins teaching, earning their respect. Tay and Rodriguez later go to the nurse and report what happened to Principal Rolle. Rolle quickly sends the school security guard Marvin to Smith's classroom. But when Marvin arrives, he finds something unexpected. The classroom is quiet. The students are sitting attentively, listening to the lesson. Marvin is confused and returns to Rolle with the update. Surprised by the change, Rolle decides to hold off on any punishment and waits for the class to end before taking further action. As the classroom session unfolds, the atmosphere grows tense. Lacas, the leader of the notorious KOD gang, tries to get under Mr. Smith's skin. He leans forward with a mocking tone and asks if Smith has ever been shot before. The question is meant to intimidate, but Smith remains calm and unshaken. Later that day, Smith keeps an eye on the school through hidden security cameras installed earlier by his teammate Skids. As he watches the monitors closely, he spots Principal Claude Rolle walking purposefully toward his classroom. Reacting quickly, Smith puts everything in place to appear normal. When Rolle enters the classroom, he immediately brings up a serious concern. Some students are planning to file lawsuits against Smith. Rolle demands that Smith apologize to avoid being fired. But Smith, well-versed in legal protocols, points out that he can't be terminated without proper procedure. He reminds Rolle that firing a teacher requires at least 2 weeks' notice. His firm stance unsettles Rolle, who wasn't expecting resistance.
On the other hand, I want to be fair. You go ahead and take your 2 weeks.
Growing suspicious of Smith's confidence and composure, Rolle decides to dig into his background. He orders a full investigation into Smith's credentials. However, what he finds are fake documents and false records, intentionally planted by Smith and his team as part of their deep cover operation. Later, Smith drives Jane home. As she enters her house, she discovers a heartfelt letter from some of her students. The letter expresses their gratitude and concern for her well-being. Touched by the gesture, Jane begins to cry. Smith tries to comfort her, but their emotions run high and lead to a small argument. Despite the tension, both of them care deeply about each other and the mission they've committed to. The next morning, Smith returns to the classroom, ready to teach again. Juan Lacas and his group of troublemakers swagger in late, clearly trying to provoke him.
You're late, Juan. That'll be one demerit.
Smith addresses Juan's tardiness, calling him out in front of the class. Juan, trying to be sarcastic, asks if he should write the word sorry on the blackboard 10 times. Smith ups the ante, demanding that he write it 100 times. Realizing he can't openly defy the teacher without getting into more trouble, Juan agrees, but not before throwing a threat Smith's way. Refusing to be intimidated, Smith shifts the mood by starting a deep and meaningful class discussion. He uses the name of Jerome, a student, to spark a conversation that turns into a powerful lesson. He asks them questions about their futures, their goals, and the consequences of their current actions. Slowly, the students begin to engage. Their defensive attitudes fade as they realize Smith is trying to make them think beyond the streets. The discussion becomes emotional and eye-opening, forcing the students to face harsh truths. After the lesson ends, Rolle unexpectedly shows up again. This time, he compliments Smith on how he handled Juan. Rolle appears impressed that Smith managed to keep control without resorting to violence. He invites Smith to meet him later in the day.
Come by my office after the faculty meeting. We'll talk. Okay?
Unbeknownst to Smith, however, Rolle has other plans. That same day, he secretly meets with Juan Lacas to arrange a hit on Smith. They believe it's time to get rid of him for good. Fortunately, Smith is already one step ahead. He watches their meeting on the surveillance cameras and prepares accordingly. As the sun sets, Smith gears up for a potential ambush. Wearing a bulletproof vest and choosing a strategic spot in the school library, he waits silently. Juan and a group of armed thugs hired by Rolle storm into the library. A violent confrontation follows. Smith fights back fiercely, using his military skills. One by one, he takes down the attackers, overpowering them and throwing their bodies out the library window. Just when it became Juan's turn to be kicked in the ass, one of the gangs retrieved Smith's gun and shot right at it. Thankful that he is saved, Juan orders him to kill the librarian and split their way. Just when the attackers had thought they had killed him and moved to the woman, Smith shows he is very much alive. He throws him out the window onto his friends, and Juan is surprised and dumbfounded by Smith's strength. Later, Rolle is walking out of the building when he comes face to face with Smith, who appears calm and collected. Surprised and confused, Rolle tries to cover up his shock. Smith plays along, pretending like nothing happened, and casually asks Rolle what the meeting was supposed to be about. Caught off guard, Rolle mumbles that it's too late, and the two part ways without revealing the truth. Elsewhere, Mr. Sherman pays a visit to Jane at home. He comforts her and spends time talking. During their conversation, Sherman begins to realize something. Based on what he knows and has seen, he starts to suspect that Smith might actually be Shale, Jane's husband and a former soldier. As the clues line up, he pieces it all together. Meanwhile, Smith's teammate Joey continues monitoring the gang's movements. He follows Juan Lacas and eventually leaves a message for Smith with details of his whereabouts.
Wellman, it's Joey. They're switching cars.
Later that evening, Smith returns home. Jane, still emotionally shaken, confronts him. She has figured out his secret identity and knows his true purpose at the school. She tells him that she learned everything from Sherman. Smith doesn't deny it Instead, he opens up to her. He explains that he believes Rolle is working with the KOD gang and that he's committed to taking them down to protect the students and restore the school. The team continues their surveillance of the gang. One day, Joey calls Smith and tells him to head to a location near the port. He believes a major drug deal is about to take place. Smith arrives, and together they observe the KOD negotiating with buyers. Once the deal is confirmed, Smith and Joey launch a surprise attack.
Get on the ground, on your faces, arms out of your sides. Let's go!
Smith focuses on the gang members while Joey handles the buyers on the boat. In the middle of the chaos, one of Smith's teammates, Holland, who had earlier disagreed with the mission, orders another man named Bull to take Smith down. A brutal fight breaks out between Bull and Smith. It's intense, with both men exchanging heavy blows. Eventually, Smith knocks Bull out. Seeing Smith's determination, the opposing teammate changes his mind and decides to help. Together, they defeat Bull, seize the drug money, and toss the remaining drugs into the ocean.
I knew you'd come back.
Yeah, wouldn't miss it for the world.
The next morning, Rolle watches a news report about the drug bust. As he processes what happened, he receives a threatening phone call from the drug lord, furious over the loss of money and product. The drug lord demands repayment. In a panic, Rolle rushes to the school and confronts Juan. But during the conversation, he realizes that Smith is behind it all. Smith doesn't hide it. He confidently announces that the money recovered from the drug bust has been used to improve school facilities and buy free pizza for the students. While he announces the good news, Claude rushes to him and immediately fires him on the spot.
You don't teach history anymore, Smith. You are history.
However, Smith's actions earn the admiration of other peoples, including the students and Mr. Sherman, who now fully support Smith's mission. Sherman offers to help more directly, but Smith warns him to be cautious, especially because Rolle might be working with the enemy. Sherman wants to believe in Rolle's innocence, but his judgment is clouded by loyalty and trust. Later that night, Smith once again becomes the target of a violent attack. The gang members connected to the KOD, as well as their corrupt allies, grow desperate to eliminate him because his undercover work is exposing their illegal activities. In the darkness, Smith narrowly escapes a planned assassination attempt. Gunshots ring out and Smith's car is drifted into a nearby house, but his military training and quick reflexes help him avoid serious injury. At the same time, Mr. Sherman, the other teacher who supports Smith and works against the gang, becomes caught up in dangerous criminal dealings down in the school basement. Sherman tries to gather evidence on the gang's illegal drug operations and their influence over the school, but he is ambushed by Juan and Talus, the gang's key criminals deeply involved in the drug trade. Tragically, Sherman is murdered during this confrontation, and the principal is the one who did it with his own hands.
Smith is putting you away.
Smith's dead, Darryl. Drive-by, very ugly.
You're a liar.
His death is sudden and brutal, shaking everyone who knew him. Luckily, a student witnesses the killing and later shares what they saw, providing crucial information to Smith and the authorities. The next morning, news spreads quickly through the school and community. Rolle, the corrupt school principal secretly working with the KOD, had already spread false rumors that Smith was dead after the attack. Many teachers and students mourn his supposed death, fearing the worst for the school's future.
Who died?
You did, sir.
However, to everyone's shock, Smith appears at the school alive and well. His unexpected return causes confusion and fear among those involved in the gang's operations. Smith's survival is a clear sign that the corrupt forces will not win so easily. With tensions at their highest, Smith confronts Mr. Wolfson, another member secretly supporting the drug dealing by KOD gang. Smith challenges Wolfson about his betrayal and involvement with the gang's criminal activities. The confrontation is tense, revealing the depth of corruption inside the school's leadership.
Tell me about Glades and Rolle. God, I'm enjoying this.
Meanwhile, the KOD retaliates by launching a violent attack on Jane's home. The gang members break windows, shout threats, and try to intimidate Jane. One student in particular who witnessed Sherman's murders was looking for Smith to tell him what had happened, so she visited his home along with her classmate. However, Juan also takes them into the house and taped their mouths shut, awaiting for Smith's arrival. Smith arrives just in time, but the gang still don't know it's Shale. They unknowingly let him in, but after his initial few attacks, he is overpowered by them. He couldn't help nor escape the scene, and Juan makes the call to his bosses to let them know Shale and Smith are the two sides of the same coin, aka the same person. When hearing this, the boss ordered him to finish him off for once and for all. This violent retaliation shows how far the gang is willing to go to maintain control and silence anyone who opposes them. Shortly before he was about to shoot, Juan heard the doorbell and told Jane to take care of it. It was her landlady, and while she convinces her to go away, Shale uses the chance to stab the man next to him on the leg. He took out most of them, but he was unable to rescue Jane. Chaos erupts and Juan places the gun on Jane's head, saying Smith must put the gun down if he wants to save her. Without having choice, Shale puts it down.
Lights out.
But the student boy shot the gun at the right time and hit Juan to disarm him. Now that the major terror is calmed, Smith shifts his attention to the boss, Claude Rolle. The story builds toward a climactic final battle back at the school. Smith and his allies prepare to face the KOD gang in a last desperate effort to reclaim the school. The fight is intense and chaotic. Classrooms are destroyed, desks are overturned, and the once peaceful learning environment turns into a war zone. Several lives are lost or seriously injured in the violent conflict, highlighting the dangerous consequences of the gang's influence. Despite the destruction, Smith and his team fight with determination and skill. They work together to dismantle the gang's hold on the school, bombing key members and exposing their power over them. Some members from Shale's team also died. One was shot in the head by the enemy, and the other bombed himself with the enemy. Because of a dire situation he found himself in, the hunting continued at it. But at one point, Rolla came from wherever he was hiding and shot Holland from the back. He and his men then hide, awaiting for Smith's appearance and to kill him finally. Smith was cautious when he came, and he turned the light off before exposing himself. A fight ensues between the two, and Claude seems angered and desperate while Smith blows tactical punches to his face. The other enemy shot Smith on the shoulder, but he was shortly killed by Holland, who was barely alive and about to pass away. Now that the two men are 1-to-1, its final battle, the hand-in-hand fight continued, and after much struggle, Claude took a gun and pointed at Shale, asking him why he is doing it for if it ain't for money. Shale answered him, saying some things can't just be taught, and gave him the final blow that ended him right then and there. Finally, Shale came out of the school and found Joey hurt but alive. At the end of the story, only Smith and his trusted teammate Joey remained standing alive after the fierce battle. Now, with the gang broken and the corrupt leaders removed, the school begins to recover. The students and staff will now slowly regain control of their environment, returning it to a place of safety and learning.